Morning, friends. How are we? Welcome to the April/May edition of the Bearded Naked Video Diary. I didn't post anything in April, and that's partly what I was going to talk about today. Is if you've been following my feeds and newsletters, you'll know that a few weeks ago, and for quite a few weeks, I wasn't that well. I had an abscess on my arm randomly, and the infection really ran me down. And after loads of antibiotics and surgeries and minor surgeries and all sorts of shite, it's left me feeling rather exhausted actually by it all. And then I decided to actually do something that I'd wanted to do for a long time, which was actually take a period of deep rest, which then has turned into this exploration of convalescence and what that means and having a bit of a rest. And I think one of the things that's really struck me throughout all of this, it's very interesting because a lot of my newsletters have been about perfectionism, self-image, identity, and all of those things that have come up. Because as you'll remember, I got injured right at the end of last year as well. And it's kind of exploring those parts of myself and experiencing different things since the end of last year that's very much felt like it's been one thing after another. I injured myself, a wisdom tooth was on the move, then I had an infection in my tooth, then one of the other teachers wasn't able to do any classes for a month. So then for a month I was teaching 17 classes a week. And then after that, then I got this abscess on my arm. It's just been a bit of a litany of shit. It's felt like a litany of shit, but it has been teaching me some very, very important things. Not least of which is not trying to push through, trying to drop some of my expectations of myself. You know, this year I wanted to produce a thoughtful piece in my newsletters every week. I really was in a place where I wanted to dive deeply into a lot of areas about myself and my thoughts and my experiences in life, and to be that little bit more vulnerable and to try and be this little bit more authentic. You know, it's great to have social media to put the very best of you out there, but you know, there's always a balance in life that's needed, and sometimes you've got to put the less best bits about you out there. You know, talk about your vulnerabilities, talk about the reasons behind why I do what I do, and what that means to me. And so it's just been a really, really interesting sort of few months. And I'm recording this, it's the end of May, and I'm sitting here on Mallorca. I've been here for a month, having a lovely period of just going, actually, do you know what? Need to breathe. I need to recover. That's what I needed to do. I needed to recover. And that's partly the physical aspects of things, but I think it's also partly, you know, the last 5 years have been extraordinary, and there's been a huge drive and a huge push to build up a community, to build up a business that works, to build up a network. And that takes a huge amount of effort. Not only is my vocation a very physical one with the teaching of the classes, it's also a very mental one, it's a very emotional one. My own studies as a yogi, you know, lead you down paths of exploration within your own consciousness that can be equally exhausting to examine, but you know, that's the point of it, and that's what we do. So I kind of find myself at the minute sitting here and just reflecting on a lot of all of that, and like, fuck me, it's been a hell of a year so far. You know, we're almost 5 months down, and and after all of this and after all of that, and I feel like I'm coming out of the other side of it now, and my body is desperate to move. I'm desperate to start training again, But I'm just taking these last few days here before I return to Cornwall just to really cement down some of this healing, I suppose, and let that settle in my body. And it's beautiful weather, and it's so easy to lie outside and just enjoy the vibe of the sun upon you. That's kind of where I am here. That's kind of where I am. It's fascinating to explore yourself. It's fascinating to realize so many things about yourself, and it's fascinating to be confronted with very real and very physical challenges that are put, not mental challenges, not emotional challenges. They are secondary to the physical side of things. I think that when your body isn't working to its optimum ability that you're so used to, that kind of, and when you're very used to using your body, you're very used to being 100% all the time, then there is the physical, then there is the mental challenges that come along with that, the kind of confrontation of things, and your own expectations and your own viewpoints of yourself, I suppose. And so it does make it all just rather a lot to sort of process. And I think that's where I am right now within this year, is that processing of what's happened, and also a process of what goes on. I wrote, I think last week, when you get to the end of these periods of convalescence and healing and recovery, it's very easy to think that you can dive straight back into how things were, but things aren't the same. You're not the same person. I'm not the same person after all of this, and I'm still processing that. I'm still examining what does this mean now? What does this mean? And I don't want to throw myself back in to that kind of thing. After so long of working so hard on so many different aspects of my life, not least of which is the bearded naked yogi itself, and not least of which is my own studies into yoga. It's that space, I think, that going, you know what? You've done a lot. You've achieved a lot. Maybe it's just time to sit back and go, well, okay, 5 years has gone. What do I want for the next 5 years? What do I want to start now that bears its fruit down the line? What are the things that are meaningful to me now, with this new sort of understanding of myself and my capacity and my capability and my mental fortitude towards it all? So that's where things are at the minute. And I think that's absolutely fine. Summer's beginning. Summer's always such a very precious time, isn't it? Especially for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the blue skies, the warm sun, the freedom to be nude so much more, and to often feels like a bit of a reconnection with the body after so long, covered in fabric during the winters to keep ourselves warm. Perfectly natural. Rather enjoy it. But it's that cyclicity of life again, isn't it? And maybe that's where we'll finish this video diary today. The cycles of life, they come and they go, and they come and they go. Energy rises, energy falls. The mind ebbs, mind flows. Peace comes, and peace goes, but within the center of all of that, within the center of that cycle, that's where you always are. And that's where I always am for myself. And that's what I'm really appreciative of. So in that spirit of authenticity, and in that spirit of allowing myself to be a little bit more vulnerable, yeah, it's felt like a really rough couple of months. But it's also been very, very beautiful in actually giving myself permission to slow down a bit, and actually acknowledging that sometimes in life you actually need to recover. You can't keep pushing yourself beyond the capacity of yourself 100% of the time. But don't get me wrong, I still have that mindset that, you know, I can and I will, and there's these things that I want to do, but these 2 months have really said to me, actually, do you know what? Calm down, Matthew. Have a little nap. Take the time out. I'm excited for what the next few years holds. You know, 5 years of establishing something, creating something, and sustaining something is incredible, absolutely incredible. And I wonder what the future holds. I wonder what the future holds for all of us. Let's see where we are at the end of June. I'm heading back to Cornwall in a couple of days. Very much looking forward to seeing Apple, and you know, I want to start training again. I'm still very curious about this maximum flexibility, maximum physical strength, and what that means. And I'm interested in exploring that in terms of my body, and I don't mean in terms of the changing of the body, I mean in terms of working what I have within the body. I'm 6'4", I'm pretty lithe, I'm pretty lean. You know, is it about packing on muscle and keeping flexibility, or is it about working with what you've got? I've had a few conversations about Taoism lately, especially in a couple of retreats I've done this year, and about how Taoism and yoga sit very, very close in terms of their preeminence within Eastern thought. You know, Taoism very much about going with the flow and working with what you've got, not trying to force things into shapes that they don't want to be. So maybe that's a slight approach that I'll be exploring. Work with what you've got, work with who you are. It's wonderful to have visions, it's wonderful to have goals and dreams. And maybe you've got to start with where you are and simply see what happens. I love rambling on these videos. Listen, my friends, peace and good things to all of you. I wish you a beautiful day wherever you may be in the world watching this. And I do want to say thank you. I've received a huge amount of messages and emails from people wondering if I'm okay, or worried that something was very, very serious. And I'm perfectly fine. And I will be perfectly fine. And I just want to say thank you. Your kindness is greatly, greatly appreciated and very, very touching. I love you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next month.